Hi there, welcome to Island Fly. Nope, that's my other channel. Welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I'll refer to as high vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy, because we all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And part of our worldly, shadowy nature can just be that we'd like to stay in our comfort zone. Up here in the top row, we have the poverty card, which is like the Five of Pentacles card. We'd really like the things that we've invested in to work out. And if we were to step out of our comfort zone, we'd have to listen to love and intuition to guide us to go have a new beginning. And so everybody can be concerned about moving forward in life differently. For one, they would have to let love and intuition guide them versus like fear, insecurities, or self-limiting beliefs, lack mentality. Have to see the truth of our own foundation, our own philosophy of life to have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And for that reason, there can be some people who aren't going to move forward in life differently. Because with the Great Water, which of course makes me think of the emotional signs of Scorpio and Cancer and Pisces, because it's so significant with the sun here, it makes me think of new beginnings. So, and the truth sets us free, and the sun talks about illuminating the truth. And we have to learn to love ourselves emotionally to get out of our own lack mentality and to have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And some people are going to move forward, and they're doing this work within themselves right now to keep moving forward. Maybe feeling a little left out in the cold, hoping other people in their life will move forward with them in that way. But realizing that everybody has to make that free will decision within themselves, and some people won't. Because it could require them to connect more in with their emotional nature, and maybe they don't really like to do that. We are emotionally complex human beings, and our emotions are confusing. Some people are more codependent, and if there's people in their life that aren't going to move forward in life differently, they're not going to move forward in life differently. Because high vibe energy is also about being more independent, and some people are more codependent. The foundation they could be more codependent on could just be a friend group. It could be their original family group. It could be the world. There's all these things that we look to in the world to maybe validate our worth and value, to love and believe in us. But, high vibe energy is learning to play that role within yourself. And some people aren't ready to do that. It doesn't matter if they're 45, 55, or 65. They're still more codependent on how the world views them, how a friend group or their original family group or someone, and they're not willing to move forward differently unless those people or the whole world moves forward in life differently. Because I view the poverty card as the Five of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, which has to do with our philosophy of life. And some people are more about conforming to the world and make their life more about the world. And if the world isn't moving forward in life differently, then they're not going to move forward in life differently, because they kind of make their life more about conforming to the world. In the bottom row, the reason for the reading is a surprise visitor, and that's that's a feminine figure. And the way I read tarot is the masculine figures. To me, this kind of looks like a boy, but, which can be we're a little bit more in our ego and in our more worldly nature. In our ego, we might not be willing to be more authentically ourselves, might not be willing to connect in with our emotions, to align with maybe our more hopeful, believing, authentic nature. So we kind of just let our ego a little bit more run our life. And so the masculine figures can represent how people are taking action in the world, how they're presenting themselves. As some of you are moving forward, you might know some people who try to present themselves as more high vibe. And they could try to create the illusion, because you're either being in high vibe sun energy, you're either being authentic and, have learned these lessons in life. Virgo is about learning lessons in life and about truth. And the truth is, love is supposed to be just and fair, and you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated, and we are supposed to heal and grow and mature ourselves over time. But there's some people that don't do that. They're kind of more, with this person coming out, it's like coming out from behind the walls of a foundation. Some people could hide that emotionally. They are more aligned with their worldly, shadowy, lack mentality, conforming to the world type of nature. And some of you could have been in friendships or relationships with people, and initially you could have been thinking, just like some other people are thinking right now in a relationship that they're in, having this hope and faith and belief that one day people will let their more high vibe emotional nature out, and they can move forward in a more deep, meaningful, authentic relationship. Some of you have already been in that situation, and you found out that some people emotionally were just more about aligned with their more worldly or shadowy nature than their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And so if you're not being authentic and honest, you're kind of trying to create an illusion and confuse people about the truth of who you are. And so some people want to be in relationships with people who are more loving, nurturing, emotionally mature, balanced, stable. And they could try to play like they were someone who is left out in the cold, that they're really high vibrational, but they're maybe really not. And other people really were kind of left out in the cold. They also experienced some of the same things that you could have experienced in life. And they might present themselves saying they're willing and ready to move forward with you. And I think, the whole thing is the water realm, and the sun is like Leo energy, fire sign energy. We have these lessons to learn about listening to our more intuitive, creative, inspired nature. And I think some of you would have learned that. So, you have to use your own intuition based on the lessons you've learned in life to discern who is who. As you are moving forward in life, there's going to be other people you meet who are going to play the victim, want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you, looking for someone to be a loving, nurturing person in their life because they haven't learned to do that within themselves. And then that can end up being a more mismatched, kind of codependent relationship. And if we've already been in relationships where we kind of played that role in people's life, the fives can talk about change. You can be a very loving, nurturing person. You're someone who puts a lot of work and effort, invests emotionally in people. And there's a lot of people who want to be in a relationship with people like that. That's great. I want to be around someone like that. But if they never, in their free will, choose to be that type of person themselves, then you're kind of in a mismatched relationship. If you're a more emotionally mature, loving, stable person, more balanced within yourself, and you get in a relationship with someone who's kind of more tipped out of balance in their philosophy of how they view themselves in the world and relationships and other people, where it's more about themselves or fear or insecurity or defensiveness or codependency or immaturity, and they don't do this work within themselves, it's always going to be a mismatched relationship, and you're not in a relationship with someone who's kind of more on the same page as you. So I think what these cards here that aren't showing themselves could be talking about is that as you move forward, as some people could come back into your life, other people will be new people you'll meet. And I think you're going to listen to your intuition to kind of discern if the people harness this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way or a more high vibrational way. So let's go look at those cards. The Coffin, the Tunnel, Sudden Wealth, Mountain, Snake, Gift, and Ship. So the snake can talk, it does say Scorpio on it, which, like Taurus, is fixed sign energy, which can be people just have this way of living life, or maybe they like to, because it also reminds me of the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. You know, everybody has their idea of the dream life and the dream relationship. And some people do like to live more from their mind than their heart. And they are more about themselves or the world or ego or image or indulgence. But they want to be, it's kind of like wanting reward without effort. I don't want to accept that gift to be inspired. The Ship is Aries energy, fire sign energy. I'm not inspired to connect in with my more emotionally intuitive, creative, loving nature, but it'd be like a gift to be able to move forward with people who are like that. I mean, you know, if, say, someone's immature or bossy or egotistical or stubborn or prideful or more materialistically motivated, yeah, it can look like they've moved on. Like they're a more authentic, loving, nurturing, inspired person if they can get someone like that to get in a relationship with. And some people have already done that, and they realized that the one person could like to keep their emotions more buried beneath the surface instead of being more connected in with their emotions and being more authentic. And I've had people want to be in relationships with people who are more inspired by truth and love and believing in themselves, believing in their dreams, not as caught up in their fear and their insecurity or their ego or image to do love. And some people have already moved away from people like that. And because you've already learned that lesson, you're going to listen to your intuition about who does seem to want to be in authentic, deep, meaningful relationship, inspired by truth and love, and who's trying to create the illusion that they're that type of person. And you've learned to listen to your intuition, because your intuition, I believe, was given to you as a gift. You know, the fact that people can wear kind of a false mask and people can present themselves any way they want. I'm just, I'm fair, I'm stable, I'm mature, I'm loving. And then you get in a relationship with them, and that might be how they present themselves to the world. But emotionally, they're not. And they are aligned with, in shadowy Taurus energy, they're more aligned in their philosophy of life to operate more from their ego or defensive nature versus in high vibe Taurus energy, having learned lessons in life, work through these issues in high vibe Virgo energy to grow and heal and mature themselves, to be more motivated and inspired by truth and love. And they haven't done that work yet, some of them. And you've already been in relationships with people who are like that. And again, getting back to our intuition, which the emotional realm and the fire realm is our creative, inspired nature. You know, those things were all given to us as gifts. And just like we're part of the animal kingdom and other animals in the world, they have their unique things they were given. Like bats have sonar, and birds and butterflies know to fly to a warmer climate when the weather changes cold. They don't question it. They listen to it and they do it. Even if, like, it's interesting if you were to read about butterflies in North America, the new butterflies are born up here in, like, I live in North America, and then they all migrate down south into Mexico. But those butterflies were born here and the parents died. So they've never flown to Mexico, but they all go to that place, like listening to their intuition, like knowing where home is. And then they stay there over the winter. They come back up. They have baby butterflies, the parents pass away, and then the baby butterflies listen to their intuition, and the next year they fly back, even though they've never been there before, right? So we were given, I think, our intuition to help guide us in this world, but we have to get out of our pride and our ego and our stubbornness, because kind of pride comes before the fall, and we think we're so smart, and we think we can change people. You know, it's one thing to offer people truth and love and encouragement. It's another thing to get more involved in a relationship with them. Like, they should stay in the friend zone. If our intuition is telling us this person doesn't seem to be very authentic or loving, or make their life more than just making the things of the world so important, right? And High Vibe Virgo is about being balanced. We all want these things of the world. We all want stability and security. We'd all like to enjoy some of the finer things in life. But High Vibe people aren't willing to sacrifice deep, meaningful, or love for those things. Some other people are. Some people already turned their back to some people and said, nope, that's not my truth. I'm not going to move forward like that. And then you had to work through your emotional confusion because you had a dream you wanted to come into reality with them. And we deal with the truth, because if we don't deal with the truth, we kind of can stay in our shadowy energy, like sitting here waiting for other people to change. And maybe it wasn't them who needed to change. They're on their own life journey, learning their own lessons. They have their own free will. They can live their life whatever way they want. We just need to be willing to see the truth when someone doesn't seem to be motivated and inspired by the same things we are, to believe that the divine has a plan for our life. And that, learning these lessons and getting out of our ego, getting out of our lack mentality, getting over our fear and insecurity, those are all gifts we can give ourselves, and giving ourselves love to work through that emotional confusion and that mental confusion, to not give up on our dreams, to just see the truth that my dream can't come into reality with someone who's not in this energy, because I'm never going to really then be in a relationship with someone who treats me the way I treat them. And that's why some people can turn their back to you, because they don't want to do it the way you want to do it. And they hope that you'll maybe feel left out in the cold. And they're maybe going to do manipulative things, because if you're not being truthful and honest and just and fair and acting with character and integrity, you're going to try to manipulate people to get them to do the relationship the way they want, which is to indulge them in their more shadowy or immature or bossy or controlling or hurtful or manipulative ways of being. And you work through all of that with love. To see the truth. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who chooses in their free will to act in those ways to try to get me to kind of give up my dreams, because their dream is not to be in a more get out of their ego, get out of their defensiveness, work through their issues, to be more inspired by truth and love. So I see through I see the truth of it. I wish them peace, and I accept that this was an experience for me to learn lessons in life. And I take that lesson and I'm inspired to keep moving forward, believing in my dreams. And I am going to listen to my intuition about people I meet. So, moving forward in life, the coffin card also in regular tarot makes me think of Scorpio, which is about having to emotionally detach from an old way of living life, viewing life, a philosophy of life, a dream. Because we didn't find it maybe emotionally fulfilling. At one time we could have. But, we don't stay the same. When we were 15, we viewed the world a certain way. When we were 18, we viewed the world a certain way. When we were 21, 25, 35, 45, we're constantly shedding old layers of ourselves and old ways of being, because some people have grown and healed and matured themselves in high vibe Virgo energy. And so they've kind of detached from an old way of viewing life, but some other people haven't. And then those people can be mad or sad that you do kind of love and believe in yourself, because maybe they haven't learned to do that. And we all kind of like to hang out with people who view life the same way we do. So they might want to, instead of moving forward with some people who've learned some lessons in life that they haven't, and the truth sets us free to move forward in life authentically. We can all try to create an illusion. It's just like going and getting a job that you don't really have the work experience for. Well, eventually people are going to see through the illusion that I don't think you're able to keep moving forward with us. I don't think you have the work experience that you needed, or the education or something, right? But some people keep trying. And it's the same way with people in their emotional maturity level. But I want to look and appear like this type of person, and I want to be in relationships with people who are like that. I just have this illusion that I don't really have to be that type of person. But they should want me. They should kind of indulge me, even though I don't have. If you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't have learned certain life lessons or emotional maturity, the problem is that when there are problems in a relationship, they haven't learned to offer love to it and have hope and faith and belief in it and in themselves and in other people and in relationships. And then they make decisions more out of their fear and their insecurity and their pride and their ego and their defensiveness and their immaturity. And that's why you want to be in relationships with some people who've learned the same lessons you've learned. So people are willing to emotionally detach, and the tunnel can kind of talk about giving birth to something new. And the zodiac sign referenced on here is Capricorn. And the whole thing is, shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil. And it's all those things that in our more worldly nature manipulate us. And in order for us to work through this, we kind of maybe do have to step out there in the world, get out of our head, get out of our emotions, and be more bold and brave and confident within ourselves, to believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams. And again, we'd all kind of like those things to work out the way we wanted, because then we don't have to do that. But some people are like, no, I am freeing myself from things that manipulate me. And if I'm in relationships with people who aren't inspired by truth and love and being authentic and treating me the way I treat them in a just and fair way, I am going to free myself from things that manipulated me. And part of it could have been, Taurus energy of the Five of Pentacles just kind of represents all these different things in the world and institutions of the world. I'd really like this job to work out, but it's not. I'd really like this friendship or this relationship to keep working out, but it's not. Or this marriage, or I wanted to stay in the relationship or have a new beginning with someone, and I just have to deal with the truth, because again, the truth sets me free. So if there's people who are turning their back to me, they might have moved on ahead of me, and some of them are high vibrational people. Well, if I had lessons to learn, and while I was drawn and attracted to certain people to learn certain lessons in life, and the other people that I could have been in a relationship, because life's about making these choices, those people have already moved on, well, then there's someone I can look up to and admire and be like a good role model for me, and people that I want to be friends with or date or marry. And some people are people that I realized I didn't want to stay in a relationship with, or a friendship or a job with anymore. And we all can have this, we'll all keep repeating an old pattern, is what the bottom row can talk about. Because we do have these lessons to learn, and we could be repeating an old kind of relationship dynamic because there was something that we could have not been seeing the truth, that we were just repeating an old pattern, that we hadn't learned to love and believe in ourselves, that we were more caught up in the world, that we were more caught up in our head, that we were afraid of loving and believing in ourselves. And we're drawn and attracted to certain people because those are the people that are going to force us to deal with the truth. Is this my truth or is it not? What is their truth? Were they being truthful and authentic or were they not? And just as we go through being in certain jobs, friendships, and relationships, it's all this process of trying to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't, to help those people get more clear about what their truth is and what their truth isn't. And everybody can have the best of intentions, and some people do keep moving forward with us, and we do work through our issues together, and we do shed old layers of ourselves, and we do face our fears, and we do free ourselves from things that manipulate us, and because we keep having, valuing the job, friendship, or relationship enough that we keep putting in that work and effort because we value it. But if other people, shadowy energy can be where some people emotionally are kind of more stubborn or prideful, egotistical, materialistic, stubborn. That's how they kind of like to be. And if to move forward in life differently would mean that they have to emotionally detach from that way of viewing life and do this work within themselves emotionally to free themselves from things that manipulate them, some people are like, I'm not doing that. You have to. Virgo energy is about investing time, energy, and effort into looking at those things that we prefer to keep hidden in the dark or didn't want to look at, want to stay in denial of. We're buried in the dark and we didn't even know how it was manipulating us. Again, our fear, our insecurity, our lack mentality, our ego. And some people are inspired with 2 fire sign energies. Initially we can all be more caught up in the world and looking to things outside of us to be the answer to our problems and to make us feel better. And then maybe as we go through more life experience, we kind of get more inspired to be less inspired about those things and value more deep, meaningful, authentic relationships and getting in careers that we really love versus ones that we used to be in for money or status or just to have a job, And some people were motivated to look at those things. I don't like those things manipulating me. And other people could just be like, I just ignore it. I never look at my bag of stuff I drag behind me. All my fears or my insecurities that I drag with me everywhere. I don't ever look in that bag. I don't want to see the truth. You have to want to even kind of wrap your brain around this game of life and free yourself from what manipulates you. And some people have no interest in doing that. Some of them are like, I'm fine. I'm living the dream. Some people don't even want to do love. I could get hurt doing love. Why would I do that? And they don't want to maybe free themselves from the world. If the world and things of the world are really important to them, or that's how they define their worth and value, why would they want to detach from this more worldly view of life? And so you just see that you're on different pages with some people. And then we have the sudden wealth, and we have the mountain, which also talks about Capricorn. And the mountain also makes me think of Virgo energy, because Virgo energy, a lot of times it'll be like depicted in the cards like someone going on a journey to overcome the mountain expanse, like I am going to get to the other side. No obstacles are going to stop me, or going in a cave and taking time alone to do this inner work. And so the sudden wealth card is kind of like the Ten of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. Some people realized I have a dream and I have tried these different things and gotten in these different jobs, friendships, relationships, lived my life a certain way, indulged in this, indulged in that, made this more important, made that less important. And my dream kept not coming into reality with the Coffin card. And so then down here in the bottom row, it's kind of the last card, is the adjudication in the letter. It's kind of like, are you starting to be willing to maybe listen to your intuition and maybe look at some things emotionally that could have been hidden behind the foundation of yourself, that you weren't seeing kind of what was driving and motivating you? And then people get inspired. I don't want to be in toxic relationships. I don't want to keep spending my time, like this does have like being in a mountain. It's good to take that time alone to soul search and work through the emotional confusion. And so normally the Coffin card is Scorpio energy, which can be about emotional confusion. And then the Leo card and our ego, and how our ego kind of manipulates us, and our fears and our insecurities. All those things can be like shadowy Leo energy. And that I need to head towards the light. And part of that, I view high vibe Leo energy of the sun. I have to learn to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me, because otherwise it could keep me in more codependent energy like a child. Because when we were a child, we probably had parents and we looked to those people and we were more codependent on them. And we're not children anymore. And we're supposed to learn to take over that role within ourselves, be a loving, compassionate, encouraging, supportive person to our own inner child nature, to grow and heal and mature ourselves, to grow to our full potential, believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams. So people did this work within themselves. And that led them to great abundance, which can be in Virgo energy, just kind of appreciating what you bring to the table. Are you empathetic? Are you supportive? Are you encouraging? Are you loving? Are you a hard worker? Are you conscientious? And working on the things that you need to work on, And then Virgo is like between the two Capricorn energies, where I could have kept my more authentic nature buried in the dark. That aspect of me hadn't come to life yet. The Death card talks about death and rebirth and transformation. And so kind of like my nesting dolls over there, you were age 15, but then you quit being more like a 15-year-old and you gave birth to being more like an 18-year-old. And then you were 18 for a while and you kind of emotionally detached from that way of living life to give birth to a new you that was more stable, grounded, abundant, having confidence in yourself, putting in the work and effort to love and believe in yourself. And you became like a 21-year-old and a 25 and a 30 and a 35. And I believe we're supposed to go through that process throughout our life. But some people kind of maybe only did the minimum to keep up maybe with their peer group and their social group, didn't want to seem like they were not bold and brave and confident like other people. So some people could have done, like some people do, people usually move out of home, go get a job, learn how to drive, things like that, depending on where you live. But then some people could get kind of stuck here in the Scorpio and Aquarius energy of maybe thinking, once I have in Capricorn and Virgo energy a certain status or image, or seem to have victory in the world in some way, kind of shining successfully in the world, well, then some people think like they're good. And Aquarius energy can be, I look like a shining star in the world. I seem to have it going on. And some people are living their life like that right now. But some people could start to feel like, again, I could feel like I have all these things of the world that people would think that should make me happy and I thought would make me happy. But I can still feel kind of left out in the cold, or it might be abundant in a lot of these things of the world, but it's not abundant in more authentic, loving relationships. And then people could decide to do this work within themselves to be more inspired, to shed light on those things, to get past both the 5s and the 7s are kind of like these difficult transition moments in our life, because it does require us to kind of move forward in life. And sometimes we'll move forward in life and we think it's a good decision, but maybe we weren't really listening to our intuition. And some people could be doing that right now. They're moving forward with some people, and by worldly standards, it looks great, but it's like, people could be in a supportive, encouraging job, friendship, or relationship again. But it's like, just because something is encouraging and supportive and loving, is it aligned with your truth? Everybody could be wonderful at your job, but is it the right job for you? It might be the right job for a lot of people, but is it the right job for you? And so we've got to do this work within ourselves at different points in our life. What are the things I need to detach from and let go? I could have detached from some things and I could have started moving forward in a new way, but we can't, it's always to reevaluate, because we can slowly, it's kind of like high vibe energy is like going down the road, trying to not drive their life off into the ditch, but things kind of drift slowly. And, periodically we got to look at our life and it's like, wait a minute, am I moving forward in the right way? And again, high vibe energy is about getting out of your ego to deal with the truth. High vibe Virgo, willing to deal with the truth, do the inner work, not to operate more from your ego. And I think as you're moving forward, you're doing this within yourself. Some other people could be doing that within themselves. Some other people aren't. They just decided, I'm not doing that. And they're going to keep repeating an old pattern. Other people like you could be moving forward. There's been some things they've detached from, just like you've detached from old ways of being. And, people can be kind of reevaluating. Wait a minute. It all, did I get in something more because I thought something didn't work out, but did I get in another situation maybe more because of ego or lust or greed or things like that, and it's like, wait a minute, if I got out of one situation, I don't want to jump in another situations like that. And it does take time to get to know people. And, the Pentacles can talk about investing time, energy, and effort. The Snake being kind of like Scorpio and Aquarius. Do we have the same dreams? Emotionally, are we kind of on the same page? If I want more deep, meaningful relationships and they kind of like to live more from their mind than their heart, or keep their emotions more buried under the surface, periodically at times, even things that seem like it could have been a gift that came into our life, shadowy energy is basically always trying to tempt us to be in our more ego nature. And there can be people in our life who, again, could be loving, supportive, encouraging people, and they would like us to keep moving forward with them. And we could feel like they're a gift, but are we really living our truth? And, you know, can I go on my own journey and you go on your journey, and we can, still be friends and be supportive and encouraging of each other? Or do we have different things that kind of drive and motivate us ultimately of what the dream is? So let's go look at the bottom row. We have the occupation, which I view as like the Eight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, the moon, the good news, adjudication, and the letter, which can be like a communication. And it could just be listening to our intuition. So again, we all have probably felt left out in the cold at times. A certain relationship or a job or a friendship that we were in didn't work out the way we wanted. And while we're still could be doing this work within ourselves, in our shadow nature, we might have someone who offers us a new opportunity. We in turn could meet people, offer them a new opportunity to be friends, to date, have a job. But sometimes it is more mismatched. And while one person could be doing what's called the shadow work, to do this work, to work through their fears and insecurities is what the moon can talk about. And the good news would kind of be working through those fears and insecurities and some of those things we keep buried beneath the surface that were kind of buried in our subconscious. And we kind of come out with the truth, because Virgo's about doing that inner work to come out with the truth. And then we make this decision and we kind of communicate to ourselves emotionally that I'm not the same person I was before, because the Five of Pentacles comes after the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles was I had this way of viewing life, this way of living life, or these people in my life or something that I wanted to hold on to. And while I could have been in a relationship with them and we're having this new beginning, I could have been doing this work to free myself from things that manipulated me. But the other person could like the illusion or like to keep those things buried beneath the surface. And that is their truth. And that's what they've decided. And then it's kind of maybe with the letter not really being opened, but we kind of listen to our intuition, that we could kind of see that maybe emotionally we're on different pages of how we want to move forward with some people. And kind of maybe in these subtle ways, maybe is what the moon could talk about, because that's different than the sun where you're completely illuminating something. Sometimes people communicate subtly what their truth is and what their philosophy of life is. And even without things being illuminated and communicated, people kind of get a feel for people. And that's when people can realize we're kind of in a more mismatched relationship. My idea of the dream life and dream relationship is kind of different than yours. And then we have this kind of, everybody could be feeling some inner conflict. And, if we're not willing to see the truth, because we all kind of like to stay in denial of the truth, because otherwise we'd have to illuminate the truth. Like, I'm not happy here. I feel left out in the cold. I feel rejected. I feel like you're creating an illusion. I feel like you're kind of being deceptive or manipulative. I feel that you could be more about ego or image or indulgence and love. And, we don't want to illuminate the truth. And so then I think, God wants us to see the truth. And if we keep kind of wanting to hide the truth, then, you know, life circumstances, kind of like the divine stepping in to try to get people to see the truth, it can kind of bring other people into our life. Maybe even just in more the emotional, intuitive realm, books, movies, music, but it can be other people that we see in the world and that we know. And it kind of, nobody likes to keep their authentic nature hidden. If you're a bossy and controlling person, but you kind of have to temper that in order to be in a relationship with someone, but that's not really the truth of who you are, you know, that gets hard. If you're kind of more immature, more prideful, more bossy, whatever, more materialistically driven, it's kind of like the divine will try to get the truth revealed, because at the big picture, high vibe energy represented by God, at the big picture, kind of shadowy energy, we use the devil as representing that. We live in a world of duality where people have free will. And it's kind of like, come on, we can't keep staying stuck in illusion. You can't keep hiding your authentic nature. You have the free will to live your life whatever way you want. There will just be natural consequences for how you do live your life, Go live it. Be authentically yourself. If you're more stubborn, prideful, bossy, controlling, immature, go live it, man. Instead of kind of living like a false life. Life is to live your authentic truth, whatever it is. And that's why it can end up getting really challenging in the 5s and the 7s that come up in tarot. Because people really have to kind of struggle with, what is my truth? What drives and motivates me? Is it more my ego or my fear or my insecurity or my lack mentality? Or is it love? Am I bold and brave enough to do love? Am I willing to be more authentically myself? Let my more emotionally loving nature out to play in the world? And some people weren't willing to do that. It's like, nope. It's kind of like, I have decided I am not, again, we kind of get our intuition communicating with us. If we are being more immature, prideful, bossy, controlling, blah, blah, our intuition tries to tell us that, and other people in our life might try to tell us, but we can keep staying in denial of the truth. We can keep hiding the truth beneath the surface, and we can keep trying to put in work and effort to maintain this illusion about who we are in the world, or indulging in that way of being. And there's some people in the world who put in a lot of work and effort to try to confuse people about the truth of who they are. They're really not high vibe. But they don't want people to know that. And so they don't live their more authentic life. And it's always trying to create this illusion. There could be things and people they would like to go be in a relationship with, but because the truth of what really drives and motivates them would be illuminated, some of those people are going to move forward in more mismatched relationships. Just because they're not willing to live their more authentic truth. And that's kind of letting our pride and our ego and fear of judgment. I mean, to a degree, if we wanted to do hurtful, unkind things to people, and those do have some severe consequences. Some people are keeping that under wraps, but I don't know. It's really hard for people. Well, there's a certain degree where we need to temper ourselves if we kind of really have some shadowy negative impulses in the world. But I'm just talking about people who are more bossy, controlling, materialistic, egotistical, self-centered. They kind of don't get to indulge in those ways of being because they don't want people to view them that way. Now, for other people, some people could have been moving forward in something. They could have been kind of hiding that, again, we can all be a loving person, but we could have felt left out in the cold. Situations ended. We could have been in a dark place and we hadn't learned to do this work within ourselves to free ourselves and work through those things. So then we get in a different relationship, and then, the whole thing is not to maybe get in another romantic relationship until you really have worked through issues from your past, to have kind of put that to rest and that you really have emotionally detached from it. And for some people who didn't do that work within themselves, which we've probably all been there, they kind of realize this isn't the right thing for me to be moving forward with. And as I do this work within myself, I could communicate my truth to people if we're able to work it out and everybody's willing to be more authentic and truthful. That kind of just bringing things out in the open can be helpful. But some people are hiding that and starting to realize that they could have gotten into something that they shouldn't have gotten into, and they're doing this work to free themselves. But they could have at one point decided not to communicate their truth, some of them, until something could have been illuminated to them. Or they just looked at life differently, or doing this work within themselves kind of freed them, and then they are willing to be more authentically themselves. But high vibe people are moving forward in truth and love, being authentic and loving and encouraging to the people they're with. There's a reason if some people feel left out in the cold in that relationship, it could be, and they might not understand it, they might be trying to do this work to figure out, is it me? Is it something within me? If everything seems to be great, why do I feel this way? So then they do this work within themselves. It forces them to do some of this inner work, and they kind of free themselves. Then they go illuminate those truths, or being more motivated and inspired to keep moving forward in their relationship. And that's when the people they're in a relationship with kind of don't want to move forward with them anymore. And it kind of illuminates to some people that, oh, the reason I felt that way, I didn't want to blame the people I was in a relationship with. I didn't know why I felt kind of left out in the cold and why I had mental conflict. I thought it was me. So I did this work within myself, which is a good first choice. And then when they had freed themselves from some of those things and were ready to move forward in life differently, then it's kind of illuminated that some of the people in their life really don't want to move forward in that way. And that could have been the underlying problem, but we weren't seeing the truth of it. And then when we do this work within ourselves to free ourselves, it kind of illuminates that, oh, that could have been the problem, is that I was trying to move forward in something, being inspired, but something seemed off. And then you kind of realize that part of that problem is because the people that you're in a relationship with really don't want to be more authentic or loving or encouraging, and that could require them to step out of their comfort zone. They don't like it, and they were kind of struggling within themselves, which is what you kind of could have been picking up. But instead of thinking it was them, you thought it was you. So then you do the work within yourself, and then it kind of becomes illuminated. But the whole thing is, it kind of made you do this work within yourself to free yourself from things that manipulated you. But then we can find out that, other people don't want to move forward with us in that energy. And they're just maybe not ready to be more authentically themselves, be more bold and brave and confident, put an end to aligning emotionally with their more worldly focused way of life or their lack mentality. Maybe just don't have confidence in themselves. But everybody has to do this work within themselves. And, for some people, they get in this mismatched relationship and later they kind of realize that the dream isn't ever going to come into reality here, is it? Because I am inspired to kind of free myself from things that manipulate me, and I see that you're not, and some of those people never had any intention, because that's just not how some people view life. Their philosophy of life is, I don't think that's my job. I think maybe if in my Taurus and my Virgo energy, by worldly standards, I look like maybe victorious and successful in some way, or in my looks, in my social clout, in my charm, and whatever, money, I think I can just do the illusion. And I'll just go try to find someone else to create an illusion with. And then if they keep repeating that pattern, and they think they can just create this illusion that they're more high vibrational than they are, well, if they get in relationships with people who are more high vibrational, eventually, yes, in high vibe Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, Leo, they'll put in this work and effort to make a relationship work. But eventually they kind of see the truth. It takes both people wanting to put in work and effort to be truthful and mature and grow and be authentic and loving. Just one person can't do it. But some people think that's how they view life. If I have these certain traits, qualities, or characteristics, people should want to indulge me, because then it looks like they're moving forward victoriously in some way because they're in a relationship with me. And maybe what they do have, since Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy, and we start down here with Virgo energy, and then up here we have Capricorn and Virgo, they might have a lot of these things of the world that make people attracted to them, whatever those things could be. And they just still have this illusion, and they haven't been enlightened to the truth yet, and they've still got some lessons to learn. And some other people don't want to settle for the illusion. And they could think you should settle for the illusion, because I settle for the illusion and you should too. And some people are like, I'm not. If you want to go do the illusion, go work with someone else. Hire someone else, be someone else's friend, be in a romantic relationship with someone else. I've already been here and done that. And I thought my dream was going to come into reality. And I thought we were both inspired by truth and love and freeing ourselves from the past and old ways of viewing life or relationships. And I see the truth that you're not. So with this card being also the reason why the reading came out, you could have seen that some people emotionally are more aligned with their more worldly egoic nature, or having these illusions about relationships, and you might kind of view them as being a little immature and maybe manipulative or egotistical. And there's other people that really want to work with other people who are like that. They're trying to find someone who's more on the same page as them. We're all trying to find people who kind of view life the same way we do. There could be someone right now in more shadowy energy that doesn't like to see the truth that we're supposed to heal and grow and mature ourselves, or be more just or fair or authentic or loving in the world. And they want to work with other people who bury the truth also, and who are more caught up in the world. And so everybody might be willing to communicate with people to have new beginnings and maybe willing to communicate their truth to people who they think are more on the same page as you. And you probably already know the people in your life who you already know really aren't on the same page as you. And they want to go find someone who's more on the same page as them. And as you're moving forward, there could be other people that have been doing this work within themselves to be more bold and brave and confident to communicate with you. And when some of you got out of some situations that you were in, you could have communicated with your truth to people. But the whole thing is, when you communicated your truth, when other people communicate their truth to you, everybody has to do this work. Am I in a relationship or in situations that are just and fair and aligned with my truth and love? They could view you as a loving person, and they could kind of be sad. They could have always been waiting for some of you to heal and grow and mature yourself or work through whatever issue so they could be in a relationship with you. But while you were off doing what you were doing, some of those people found people who are more aligned with their truth. And then the whole thing is, high vibe people just have to accept the truth. There's some people, I had free will. I made certain choices based on where I was at in my life and lessons I needed to learn. Some people aren't people I'd like to move forward with. Some people are people I'd like to move forward with. And some of neither of them am I going to have a new beginning with. Some of them I could have new beginnings in friendships or relationships with. But no matter what, high vibe people want to be truthful and authentic. And they're going to listen to their intuition. A more shadowy person still doesn't want to see the truth. They keep thinking judgment will go in their favor because that's how they view the world, but they don't realize that they're kind of maybe not listening to their intuition. They've called judgment on that. Nope, I'm not going to reveal the truth. I am not willing to love myself. That's someone else's job. I am not willing to be more authentically myself. I have decided to keep that under wraps, and I'm going to keep living my life the way I've been living it. So, what is coming up for people who harness some more high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming? You know, for some people, for those of you that are kind of loving, nurturing, compassionate, inspired, just, fair, yeah, you offered, you know, it's just, you offered people a gift. And some people rejected it because they would have to reveal the truth. They would have to quit being in their defensive nature to let their more authentic, emotionally loving nature out. They'd have to learn to love themselves to get out of their lack mentality. And all of that takes work and effort. And some of those people weren't willing to do it. But there can be other people in the world that you don't even know yet that have went through similar situations as you, and they're doing that work within themselves. And at some future point here, if you haven't met them already, you know, by you moving forward, loving and believing in yourself, having these new beginnings in your life, new jobs, new friendships, new relationships, that is kind of like in alignment. And I think it's indicating that there will be new beginnings for you. If we keep repeating an old pattern, we're going to keep getting the same results. If we don't want the same pattern, we have to take different action in our life. So what's coming up? We have a card not showing itself. And why did it come out? Because of the truth, which is love. Because some people are offering themselves love when they felt left out in the cold. What some people don't know about you, because so many people are putting in work and effort to create an illusion about maybe how wonderful their life is. Well, they're creating an illusion. You did this work to transform yourself and free yourself, and you're not the same person that you were before. And what people don't know about you is you've detached and rejected to be able to detach from harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way. And you are willing to detach from people in your life who do harness it in a more worldly, shadowy way. And that's also why some people aren't going to move forward with you, because they're not willing to do that. And what other people don't know about you is you now harness this energy in a more high vibe way. And it's the Seven of Swords. We all could have been more caught up in the worldly dream. We all could have been more caught up in our head and our fear. And what some people don't know is that's not who you are anymore. You're no longer aligned with your being more invested in the worldly dream. You've looked at life from a higher perspective. You keep things in perspective. High vibe Aquarius is also having hope and faith and belief in yourself, in your dreams, and in that you would heal. And you did. And those of you going through it, you will. As you keep loving yourself, because love is the answer. We keep offering love to being in the energy of love to ourselves and other people. Being illuminated to the truth that, everybody has to free themselves from what manipulates them and grow up and mature themselves and heal. And some people aren't willing to do that. And we need to see the truth of it. So then we believe that the divine has another plan for our life. And we're no longer able to be deceived and manipulated like we used to be able to. You could be very loving, nurturing people, and people kind of played on your loving nature or the love that you had for them to manipulate you or be hurtful or unkind. And it's like, no more. I've seen the truth. Love is to be just and fair. And if people aren't being authentic and honest and just and fair and putting in work and effort to move forward with me, then I am no longer up in my head about it and confused about the truth. If that was their truth, they would be doing that. If they're not, then they're not on the same page as me, because you have probably already illuminated your truth in love. And you're going to keep moving forward, believing the divine has a plan for your life. And maybe other people are doing this work within themselves. Well, at some future point in time, you'll find out. Or maybe they're not. And maybe some of those people aren't who you thought they were. But as you move forward in this energy, you'll meet other people will see the truth that you are in this high vibe energy. You're not more about the world and ego and image and illusion and immaturity and pride and ego and stubbornness and all that stuff. Other people will see the truth, and other people who are on that same page as you will want to be in a relationship with you. Some shadowy people will too, and you'll just listen to your intuition based on the lessons you've learned about who's who. And I think you will have these new beginnings. What is coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they don't see coming? Death and the Four of Cups. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. They keep unwilling to take that cup of higher love, to harness their fire sign energy. I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy. To be more authentic and loving and warm and encouraging and align with that nature within themselves. They're like, no, I do not maybe believe in love or believe there's any other purpose to this world than what my worldly egoic nature tells me. And I think it's about me, or I think it's about these things of the world. I am sure that will make me happy. And because they keep refusing to do love, and they keep being more in their ego, they're always going to have some high vibe people in their life that could have gotten out of other relationships that want to be in a relationship with them. They're offering them love. But eventually the high vibe people in their life say this person doesn't want to do love. And eventually the high vibe people decide, I'm going to end the relationship with you and I'm going to take this cup of love for myself. And though I would have liked this to have moved forward, I want more than just these things of the world, which shadowy Scorpio, again, can be And shadowy Virgo and Capricorn and Taurus and Leo. It's all these things of the world, but it's kind of superficial and shallow. It's not an authentic, deep, meaningful relationship. And that's what I'm motivated and inspired by, and that's not happening here. So when people are acting shadowy, some other people are going to leave their life. And what they don't see coming, if they align with their more worldly, defensive, egoic, whatever nature, their own shadow nature doesn't have their best interest at heart. Your shadow nature is like the devil. It does not want you to love and believe in yourself. Your fear, your insecurity, your immature, indulgent, prideful, it just wants to indulge itself at your own expense. Our shadow nature, if we would become drug addicts and alcoholics and anything else that would end up with us in the gutter, our shadow nature would lick its fingers and say, damn, that was great. And it doesn't give a damn about us. And then the whole thing is, sometimes we realize when we get in a relationship with people who are kind of in that energy, we weren't seeing the truth. We were kind of getting caught up in the illusion of how they presented themselves. And then we kind of realize they don't really give a damn about us either, because it's really more about them. And if you're not willing to keep indulging them in their ego or buying into the illusion of who they try to present themselves as being, and that they could be intimidating or controlling or manipulative or act like a private detective in a relationship, that's not love. And they might end up eventually ending up being in a relationship with someone like themselves. Someone else who really doesn't want to do love. Someone else who's more motivated by ego and image. There's always like bigger fish in the sea. There's always other people that are looking for people like this, just like these people look for people that are loving and stuff. There's other people in the world looking to find someone like this. You had some loving, encouraging people, but you turned your back on them? Perfect. I want to be in a relationship with you. You haven't learned to love yourself? Wonderful. You want to make your life more about ego and image? Great. I'll work with you. I like to create an illusion, and I don't like the truth either. And I don't listen to my intuition. And I also might be maybe intimidating and controlling and manipulative and use all those tactics to try to get people to do what I want in a relationship. Kind of makes me think of kind of what goes around comes around. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy. But shadowy people are going to have some loving, inspiring people who emotionally detach from them because they can't keep ignoring their intuition. These people are not just and fair and loving. They got a lot of growing up to do. And you did do that work, and you have learned like twice as many lessons as those people. And every lesson we learn in life takes a long time to learn. Now, that's the shadowy people, but again, there are other people in the world just like you, doing the same work as you, who are also going to detach from their more egoic nature, keep offering their cup of love to people in their life who aren't very loving, and those people just like you are going to move forward. And then maybe one day, if you haven't met those people already, you will meet them. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.